Okay, so let's get started. For those that are here, in case you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the Q&A section. It's on the left side of the screen if you're using desktop, and it's at the bottom if you're using a mobile application. Yes, so in order to give us better heads up and understanding of what exactly we're going to be doing, we'll be sharing the screen once in a while so you see what exactly we're talking about. This is going to be a session on how to use Google to increase your sales, but the intent of this is to address two segments of people. Number one, business owners, and number two, marketers. I do understand that those are very, very busy people, so I'm going to try and get to the point as quickly as possible so that you understand what you need to do within the shortest period of time. This webinar is intended to be 30 minutes. Within 20 or so, we should have most of what we need to do resolved. So yes, let's get started. Okay, so we can go right ahead. In case you can see my screen, just leave a thumbs up. I will know that you can comfortably see the screen. In case you can't, please leave a Q&A. I use that Q&A section to leave a comment on the outside. So today's webinar is about one thing. We'll be discussing how exactly can you use Google and other search engines to grow your business. Now, this webinar is a direct on webinar, so we're going straight to the point. I know there are so many details that someone that wants to go in depth would want to know, but this segment specifically is intended for two categories of people. Number one, the marketers, and number two, the business owners. So we're literally going to give you a heads up on what exactly you can do overall when it comes to Google. Now, to be honest, the main reason as to why I like Google personally is it has one of the best sources of traffic in the world. I mean, unlike social media where someone is scrolling and seeing or checking out what their father or granddad or their friend is saying, people that come to Google are actually looking for solutions. I mean, when I go and type into Google, I want to buy land in Abuja, Nigeria, I actually want to buy land. Something applies in case I go and say I'm looking for a laptop on Google, it means most likely I am looking for a laptop. So the quality of the traffic that you get out of Google, the search engine, is the best in the world. That's why you might find in some scenarios Google ads are a bit more expensive because they have the highest intent and the highest possibility of closing. And when it comes to Google, there are two ways of leveraging traffic. One segment is called search engine marketing, and another segment is called search engine optimization. The two are just different. Benchmarking on one, SEM, is paid, meaning you get someone searches for maybe a keyword watches. Just use Google. If, for example, someone searches for watches, some results, these, the first possible results in most scenarios are paid ads. So that is what is considered as search engine marketing. So for example, you search for email marketing software, you're going to have some results. This is an advert, this is an advert. That is what is considered as search engine marketing. Then SEO is what is termed as the organic results. You just wrote an article and you are ending up appearing at the job. So for this specific course, we'll be going through search engine optimization. We'll have another special segment just talking about the paid side of it, because if we try and combine the two, it's going to be huge. It will be a really, really, really long webinar. So let's just deal with SEO, talking about how do you actually get value from Google's free traffic. So yes, now who is this for? Like I said earlier, this video is intended for three categories of people. Number one, management, people who actually management and want to leverage Google as a tool to increase their sales. Then number two, it's intended for the marketers, of course. I mean, the guys that are actually going to be doing the search engine optimization, meaning this is actually largely meant for you. Then It's also meant for the sales side. Sales and marketing kind of work together to help understand and give the best value. That is who this video is actually defined for. And just before we get started, Monkey Pace is actually an all-in-one sales, marketing, and customer support software. Now, just last week, we launched what we term as the joint inbox. Now, the joint inbox is a single location where we bring in all conversations regardless of the channel. I mean, if someone comes via Twitter, it's siphoned and brought into one place. If they come via, take an example, they send a query via Facebook Messenger, it comes to the same place. If they come via Gmail or Outlook or Skype or whatever channel it is on the internet, we route all those conversations to one place and actually make them available to your entire company. So in case you have customer support reps or in case you have marketers and salespeople, they actually go to that central place to respond to whatever queries they have. And just to avoid situations where you're using 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 different apps, keeping up with all these different apps is quite hard. So we brought this as a central place for you to be in position to support your customers no matter the channel they are on the internet. And for the people that are attending this webinar, we actually have an exclusive promo. We'll be giving the basic package out at $9, I mean at $7.99. But that's only exclusive for the people that enroll today. If you're interested, you could as well leave a Q&A comment or directly reach out via info@monkeypesa.com. We'll be in position to let you know how you can take up the promo. Yes, so let's get started. All right, for this webinar specifically, we'll be going through 3 major things to do with SEO. The first category is we'll be taking you through what they call planning, because we believe in the world of marketing. Whatever is planned gives you direction in where exactly you're going. Then the second category, we will go through what we call execution, meaning how do you actually get the results. So talking about getting to the top of the search engine, how exactly do you go about doing that? That's exactly addressing the execution. And the third thing that we'll be talking about is what they call analytics. So we'll just show you some of the best hacks that you can use to actually understand that this is the value that I'm getting out of the search engine that I'm doing. So each of those, we'll make sure that we go ahead and actually show you some of the tools that you could possibly use and literally use live examples to show you that, okay, take an example. If you're looking for land, here's what exactly you do. In case you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the Q&A section. Just drop any question and we'll be in position to respond to you so that we don't get too far from where we are in order to help you better understand what exactly you're trying to achieve. So yes, with that said, let's get started. Now yes, the first segment of understanding search engine optimization is what they call planning. Now the planning phase this should be a meeting held between the sales team, the marketing team, and the manager. What you need to have as an understanding is that the back of your mind, Google is just another platform. Which platform is intended to bring you? You're not doing all this SEO work for the sake of just doing it. So the relevance of planning is to answer a few questions. Question number 1 being, what exactly are we supposed to be doing with SEO? Number 2, what exactly are we trying to achieve? This could be questions like, take an example, how many people, if for our case, we ask ourselves, how many people do we want to become for the search engine as a platform? Third question you need to ask yourself during preparation is, how are we going to analyze and visualize that whatever we are doing inside SEO has been successful? And number 4, which is most important, is to understand what is your kind of action plan to go for. Now, to begin with the action plan, there are a couple of preliminary questions that you need to be asking yourself, depending on your industry. The 2 most important questions being is to, number 1, which industry am I in, and what are some of the search volumes for the keywords that people would ideally be looking for in my industry. As an example, if I were maybe selling dog feeds, dog food, some of the keywords that people would be using to find me would be things like, where can I get dog food in said location, maybe Abuja, Nigeria, or what is the best dog food for my type of dog, or is dog food dangerous for my dog? So just try to get into the mind of the person that is searching to give you the best context of what exactly you need to be talking about. As an example from Monkey Pesa, we understand that number one, we have a few products that we're selling. As an example, we have the email marketing software. We would know that when someone is looking for us, maybe they're going to search for email marketing software in Kenya. Meaning we need to position ourselves so that we're at the top of that search. If I was selling land, I would also just try to put myself in the searcher's shoes, just to know, okay, what exactly is this person going to search about? So this is just to get a bit of a preliminary example to know that, okay, here is what is in the mind of the people that we are going to be speaking to. Don't write for the sake of writing, but write for the purpose of getting the searcher to get the best possible answer from your question. So that is the first meeting you're supposed to have, is just to try and understand what are we going to talk about. And number two, try and get the volumes of whatever you're searching for. Say you're in the crypto space, just go ahead and search Google Trends and ask yourself, okay, how much are people searching about BTC as a cryptocurrency? Localize it by your country so that you get a feel of what that search volume truly is before you even begin doing the writing. The purpose of this is to kind of give you direction what exactly you're trying to do. This direction comes from just those three things. Number one is understanding what you're going to do. Number two, understanding the impact of what you're going to do. And that impact should be down to the dot of, listen, I'm going to track, I'm expecting this number of people, and I actually have the tools in place to track if whatever I have planned out is actually succeeding. So yes, then the second thing you should be asking yourself during that planning phase is, what is our unique selling point? There are situations where it is hard for you to rank for certain words. For our case specifically, we said us ranking for the keyword email marketing is going to be extremely difficult, because we know there are people who have been in the email marketing game for too long that we will never outrank them. Unless we have, of course, been around quite a while. So what we said is, as opposed to us writing about email marketing directly, let's localize it to writing about email marketing Kenya, email marketing Tanzania, email marketing Nigeria. That way, if someone in Kenya is looking for your specific email marketing, the likelihood of them finding you because they are now local to Kenya actually becomes higher. That was what our unique selling point was. A unique selling point is more or less what is going to be that cap point you can pass, whereby if you pass there, Google is naturally going to begin giving you some traffic. Just to go back to that dog food example, if someone just went and talked about dog feeds and you wrote an article about dog food, the likelihood of you ranking for that keyword dog food will be hard, because part of Google's algorithm is just meant to favor the people who have been around longer than you, because it trusts them a bit more. Meaning, for you to gain Google's trust, you have to find other places to pass. So for this case, if I were in the dog food space, I would find a way of localizing it. Say dog food right now in Uganda, so I would say maybe dog food in Uganda, or dog food in Chireka, dog food in Pala, dog food, so that for the years you're not going to capture the entire traffic that comes around of that such keyword dog food, but you're getting better context for the local traffic that comes in locally, or hitting some of the keywords that people might not have bothered about. Say I wanted to hit sales, and me writing a generic article about sales, I may never rank for it, but I could write maybe about the sales matrix, and I will rank much faster for the sales matrix than I would for actual keyword sales. So yes, in your planning phase, those are the two questions you need to be asking yourself. Question number one is what are we doing and what do we want to achieve? Then question number two is what is unique about us, so that you begin by writing about the unique selling point that you have to give you an entry point to get traffic right from the beginning. So yes, I hope that makes sense as it comes. The tools that you can use to help you determine the search volume, you can use a tool called Google Trends. It's quite in depth. I'm not going to delve too much into the planning phase. Even the execution is relatively direct, straightforward. So the bit I'm going to pay more attention to is the last bit, which is the analytics. How do you know that this is working, and how do you know that this is not working for us? Okay, so that's number one. Then number two is the execution plan. Execution is about one thing. All you're doing is writing articles and posting them. It's all you're doing. What we recommend as a best practice is you come up with what they call a cluster model. A cluster model is more like, I want to rank for this one keyword. I want to rank for the keyword dog food. Now, in order for me to rank for dog food, Google is going to need me to write several articles about different underlying topics under the keyword dog food, so that it now begins to trust me. Just to give you a live example, this was actually what we called a cluster for, we wanted to rank for email marketing. Now, in order to rank for email marketing, it would be hard for us to just write an article about email marketing and rank for the article. But for us to rank, we decided to understand, okay, what are the underlying topics under email marketing that people would need to know. So we come down and I'm actually figuring this out. What is the subject email line? How do you gather the email leads? How do you write a newsletter? How do you improve email open rate? So we literally thought through each and every one of those subtopics that would want to fall under that one keyword, which is email marketing. So that by the time we write this article, which is email marketing, we have too much supporting content underneath and very many small articles to link to. And each of these small articles as well would link back to the main article. That is the best way to qualify for to stand out over very big keywords. So just in case you're not understanding anything, please feel free just drop a comment below. But ideally, that is the role of a cluster. Just another example, if I wanted to rank for, I'm just going to use a traditional product. I want to rank for a microwave. I would first write about different my first question would be, okay, which brands of microwaves should I buy? That would be a nice question to write. Then second question would be like, where can I get a microwave from in Uganda? Third query to write about should be, what do I do in case not to spoil my microwave? Before you write about the big article about the microwave, just try and find out what are some of those simpler questions that people would want to know, and write about those before you write what we call the main article about your microwave. That's just an example. The same thing applies. I want to write about marketing automation, but I don't approach it directly as marketing automation. Yes, I'm going to write about it, but before I do so, I will break it down into small articles, which smaller articles will link to this post, and this post will also link to a smaller post. So ideally, in the implementation phase, all you're doing is discovering what articles am I going to write and what is my pattern of writing. Recommendably, if you can have about 1 to 2 articles a week, don't come and do 5, 10 articles today, then go 2 months without writing anything. It won't work. Its impact won't be as good as someone writing 1, 2 articles a week. You'd rather have them written and publish them every other week to give Google a bit of a predictable pattern of this is how often we would publish it. So in this section, it's literally just number 1, determining what you're going to be writing about. Then number 2, setting the pattern that you're going to use to write. And number 3 is determining, just understanding the basic behind cluster model, because its impact is much higher than you just writing random articles. So before you even get started, like step aside and understand I have 6 months. So what am I going to try for 6 months? And put titles every week, do one thing. So it is that straightforward. If you have a team to help you, still something applies. Come up with the titles that are most relevant to your business and your location, then distribute them to the right person. So that is, I think that is it about execution. It's mostly straightforward. However, after you have written an article, don't forget, in order for Google to come and pick it from you, copy the URL of that whatever article you have written, then bring it to what they call the Google Search Console. Right? You can literally just Google that, Google Search Console, then ask Google to come and fetch it. You can literally paste whatever title it is here and ask Google to come and pick it up. Yes, so about execution, that is relatively it. Now, segment number 3 is the most important segment once it comes to search engine optimization. Why am I saying it's the most important? It's because you're going to write a lot of articles, but the purpose of you writing all these articles is to try and drive traffic from whatever articles you're writing into actual conversion. Meaning there are going to be 2 core metrics you have to track. Metric number 1 is what is my performance over time, meaning how many search people am I getting. This is, we created a new blog last year. Now, for us to know how we are performing, usually we kind of reference, okay, when did we start this blog? This blog started beginning of last year. Then you look at, okay, where exactly are we now? How many impressions are we getting? How many clicks are we getting each day, each month, depending on the period of time? But in my opinion, this is what they call, okay, vain metric. Yes, it's important, but it's a bit vain to me. Where the flesh is, once it comes to this search engine optimization, is actually understanding a few other basics. So number 1, what keyword people use to identify me, and which articles themselves people use it to find our brand. Now, after you have identified those 2 questions, there's another software I'm going to recommend. It's called Heap Analytics that you can put on your website, especially if you have an e-commerce website or a website where people do some kind of action like signing up or filling in a form. Now, after you have embedded Heap Analytics, that is when now you can do what they call extra analytics, benchmarking what exactly you want to perform. As an example, we already have Heap Analytics embedded inside Multipesa. We can now come down, and say, let's create a funnel and try to understand people who come from the best CRM for fintech, how many of them are going to the home page after that, and of those that have gone to the home page, how many have gone to our sign up page? And of those that have gone to the sign up page, how many of them have actually signed up? So this is what they call conversion optimization, to know the impact of that specific thing that you have written. Now, we wrote an article, the best CRM for fintech, but why we're doing all this is just to try and determine what was the impact of us writing this article. Let me get a range of maybe 30 days. Within that period, I can run my query. What this does is it brings me a bit of insight on how exactly this specific journey is working. To take an example, 53 people came and viewed this article in the CRM, but our ideal journeys, you either go to the CRM landing page or the home page. Then it shows us that 3 people from this 34, 3 people went to the home page, and of those, no one signed up. So in the next query, I can ask myself, okay, since the homepage is not working well, what of the CRM page, CRM product landing page? Run the same query. So what that shows is now 53 people who came, but of those, instead of only 3 people first going to the homepage, about 10 of them went to the CRM product page. After this, I will still track to that dot of what is the exact conversion coming at the end of the day. Keep in mind that ultimately the relevance of you writing these articles is to lead people towards a certain action. You're not writing for the sake of just writing. But if, say, for example, I'm writing about a microwave, I want you to come and read that article about the microwave. Then next step, go to my product page, showing the microwave that we've been talking about, and possibly add that microwave to your cart. So why Heap Analytics is important for you is because it can help you track several conversions and optimizations, just benchmarking whatever journeys people ideally take from whatever articles that you have written. The advantage with this is it even gives you extra path comparisons. You can track so much from one given move, just from that one article. And ultimately, as a business person, you have to understand that the more of this data you can have, the more you would be guided on what is working for you. The scenarios where, take an example, we wrote about fintech articles. Now we would still come and say, okay, we have written a certain fintech article. In terms of conversions, how are these articles actually converting and resulting into signups for us? Same thing applies. We write several articles on sales and marketing software. But of these articles that we have written, can we break it down? In fact, you can go ahead and even create things like dashboards whereby everything you're tracking how many signups are coming from here, how many signups are coming from this blog post. So whatever blog post you consider important to you, literally put it in and track the conversion rate. I feel like this is where the money is. These other 2 things, the planning is very, very straightforward. Literally, I could send you an easy template where you just predict where do we want to achieve, how many posts are we going to write about. Execution is also very direct. You just write an article, put it up, send it to Google. The most important bit is literally this third component, which is how do I track the effectiveness of what is performing. As an example, we have this article, which is registration in Uganda. What is that performance like? And the more of this data you can gather, the better for your brand overall. Because this is what ultimately you, the sales team, the marketing team, and the management team are going to need to help benchmark. Is Google as a platform working for us, or is it not working? But inside Google itself, what is leading to our desired action? What is the conversion rate? Should we now double down traffic on that specific source because we understand that of the people who have landed on this, we have a 10% closure rate? And yes, this is where the ultimate money is. And a business person who is a marketer, you should, if possible, invest in tools like Mixpanel, tools like Heap, because they give you a lot of flexibility in determining what the impact of certain things, at least in regards to SEO, are. Yes, Google has its default platform, but its default platform mostly entails information that is on Google's side. It will show you what keywords people are using. It will show you what how much traffic you're getting from each keyword. It will give you the basics happening on your website. So just as importantly, you need to also set up analytics to help you track after now that you've brought this traffic, what exactly is happening. How do I get the best results out of whatever I'm doing? Ultimately, those are the three segments that you have to capture. Just to recap for you, search engine optimization is about three things. Thing number one is the planning. Planning is literally what are we doing? What do we expect? How many clicks do we expect? How many sign-ups do we expect? So that one is more of a joint effort, a concerted effort between sales, marketing, and customer support. The second segment is execution. Execution is about understanding which clusters, which articles you're going to write. These are the keywords that we're targeting, benchmarking where your strength is, and literally writing an article or two a week, and article two every other week. That's what they call execution. And the third bit, which is the most important, is after you have written over time, you'll come back and track both analytics on Google's side and analytics impact on the website. This is an article we wrote. How much is it impacting benchmarking? What our ideal workflow is. And in a nutshell, that is what search engine optimization is about. I'll just give it a minute or so to respond to. Yes, I'm seeing Morris here. You're asking to share the presentation shortly. Yes, I'll share the presentation alongside some of the resources that we used, so you can use that. In addition to that, I'll also upload this video to YouTube. So if you want a reference to it, you can as well go back and respond to that. And yes, in a nutshell, that is search engine optimization. Forgive this one was directly centered around understanding it from marketing manager's point of view and the management's point of view. So I made sure it's as direct as possible. If you have any queries, please feel free to reach out to us via email. In case you want to take up our promo package that we have put for people attending this webinar, please feel free to reach out to us via info@marketingcenter.com. That's all from us today, folks.